Welcome back to the Packers Corner, joined by my dad and Schmitty, and we got another win with Malik. Can you believe it? What a feeling, and I figured we got a big matchup coming up this week. I wanted to check in what they're saying across the border over there in Minnesota. We heard from PA today. Thought this was interesting. Take a listen.
And you head with an undefeated team at 3-0, a team getting a lot of local and national shine. But what if the autumn wind is a Packer, pillaging just for fun?
Well, and that's a heck of a question. We got an answer for Paul on that one. We'll get into that. We got a couple things to go over here today. We're going to jump into the Packers-Titans reaction. We got to talk a little Caleb Williams. Got to give out some awards. We'll do it all after the intro. But, Paul, I think the autumn wind might be a Packer.
The autumn wind is a Packer, blustering in from the bay. With a rollicking song, he sweeps along, banging the drum all day. His face is weather-beaten. He wears a cheese-filled cash with a green and gold cape on his back and a frozen stiff mustache. He rumbles across the tundra, a hero brave and bold. And the fans all cheer and raise their beer as he fights through rain and cold. The autumn wind is a Packer, tackling just for fun. He'll knock you round and upside down and bask in the Titletown sun.
I think Paul asked the appropriate question there. Dad, are you fired up after all that?
PA, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that the autumn wind is a Packer blustering in from the bay. With a rollicking song, he sweeps along, banging the Vikings upside the head all day.
Love to hear it. I know what else is going to have you fired up here, guys. How about that defensive performance? We got our guy, Jeff Hafley. We've matched the total interception total from a year ago, already 3 games in. Schmitty, what do you have to say about that and the pass rush as well?
I texted you guys during the game. The secondary has been mind-blowing. It was like the last 2 seasons for me has been we go as the secondary goes. Xavier McKinney Griffey is on an all-pro path this season already, a pick in each game. This is incredible stuff. I didn't think that we could draw up enough pressure on Levis to make him throw and make bad decisions. We did that in spades. I mean, 8 sacks by the defensive line. They all got a piece. It was Devontae Wyatt's coming out party, I think. I think he of the 2 Georgia boys, he's the guy that we're going to be really excited about in these coming years, just like we were when Kenny Clark started to show flashes. So that was really great to see. The offensive line held up. And honestly, for me, like the 2 guys you have to give the most props to, Malik Willis winning in another way where he's throwing the ball more. And I just think it speaks volumes about Matt LaFleur. Griffey, I'm at work thinking about Matt. I'm taking the garbage thinking about Matt. I'm making love to my wife and I'm thinking about Matt. The guy is incredible, Griffey. He is now like he's on the path for winning coach of the year. Right now, he is number 1 at the list. The guy is doing like, could you imagine you lose the game in Brazil, that god awful place that none of us like, and you're on the flight coming home, and the whole team is dejected. You just lost your starting quarterback. You don't know for how long. And he's able to right this wrong, get everyone to buy into Malik Willis, thinking that they can pull this off. And he does just that. He deserves all the credit. I'm so juiced, Griffey. That press conference, that them huddled around right after the game, I like chills down my spine. Just an awesome performance. You can't say enough about the Packers organization right now.
What happened to the funeral attire you had on a couple days ago here, Schmitty?
Griffey, it's gone. I buried it already. That's not, that Tyler, long gone. You won't see him anymore. He's gone, Griffey. That I don't know who that man is. See ya.
Dad, what were your reactions to the game here?
Well, I can be pretty euphoric with Schmitty for a little bit here, and then you're going to see Jekyll and Hyde a little bit here tonight. So I'm gonna maintain a very calm and cool demeanor until I don't. But I'm very happy to be wrong. I predicted that if Malik Willis started this game, we would not be able to pull the rabbit out of the hat 2 weeks in a row. I want to give him full credit. The guy has done an unbelievable job. Coach LaFleur's done an unbelievable job coaching him up. All the kudos possible in the whole wide world. What a classy young man. Had all the reason in the world to just gloat all over Tennessee, and he didn't do it, didn't take a bite, said every win's the same. I appreciate what Tennessee did for me, gave me a chance. I wasn't ready there, and I'm just getting ready for my next opportunity. The guys in the locker room obviously love the guy. I mean, they play their rear ends off for him. So this is where maybe Jekyll comes out a little bit here now. Okay, Jordan Love, you gave this guy a chance. Brett Favre never gave the other guy a chance. Aaron Rodgers didn't give the other guy a chance. Okay, I'm going to get started a little bit here now. Do we have to talk about Brett Favre's record of play unhurt? No, we don't have to say a word about that. We could get into Bart Starr. We don't have to do that. Aaron Rodgers, whatever you want to say about Aaron Rodgers. 5-6 years ago, he gets a knee injury in the first half against the Bears in the opener. He doesn't come back 2, 3, 4 weeks later. We thought it might be a season-ending injury. He comes back in the second half and leads them to a historic comeback to win 24-23. I just wonder if our quarterback is a gamer or not. Now, Schmitty, don't go off wild here. I hope I have the answer to this question, and I hope I can tell you later in the podcast in the year, there's the moment that I learned. I love Jordan Love. Don't get me wrong. I think he's great. I just don't understand how a $55 million man does not play in that game. There's nobody that can tell him not to play. And I know Griff Christensen would have played in that game. I saw him play with a broken collarbone the entire freshman year on the scout team. Didn't find out that the collarbone had been broken till the end of the year. So I'm a little exercised about whether we have a gamer or not, and I'm exercised about risking losing that game to an 0-2 team that was going to throw everything at us. So, okay, I'll go back. I'm happy. Back to Mr. Hyde. I'm thrilled to death that we're 2-1, ready for Vikings week. But okay, we'll get into that later. That's enough said now. I'm going back and forth. Good guard, bad guard, Jekyll and Hyde. I don't know what to do. I got a straight jacket, Schmitty. I got a toaster in one hand, a meat cleaver in the other. I don't know which way I'm going, but I'm happy the Packers won.
Well, I don't want to make this about my collarbone there, but yeah, I did do that once upon a time, and so I have a tendency to sympathize with your viewpoint there for sure. And I grew up watching Brett Favre. That meant a great deal to me, and I just think there's something to be said for the mentality of going out there in the trenches with the guys, battling through adversity, physical pain, especially in an injury like this where, it seems like if they wrap that up tight, there isn't a great deal of likelihood that that's going to have any long-term damage with an MCL type of an injury here. That said, if we're going to look for the silver lining, is it possible that what we got to see out of Malik Willis, one, made his value go through the roof? We're either going to get a trade back for, a lot more than a 7th-round pick than we gave up to get him, but also, if we had to go win a playoff game with Malik Willis or something I think there's a chance we could do it. And I don't think we would have had that sort of confidence in the guy unless he did this like he did at, this point in this season. Do you see any silver lining that way, Dad and Schmitty?
Go ahead, Schmitty. Give me a break here.
Griffey, I mean, it's awesome. No one predicted that we'd be 2-0 before once Jordan went down. I mean, you didn't think you had 3 weeks with this kid, and he's only proven to be a winner. That's an incredible feat. And I mean, MLF has even said, I don't think anyone realizes just how difficult this was for him to overcome, learning a new playbook, getting the buy-in from an entire football team, everyone rallying around him. The entire team wants this guy to succeed. So the value's gone up. If we had to play a playoff game tomorrow, well, we're 2-0 with the kid. So you feel pretty confident now that in the quarterback that you have and what MLF has put together for game plans, that you'd be able to scheme something up against any opponent that you'd play right now. That even comes Sunday, Griffey, when we're talking about the Vikings, if by some freak of nature thing that Jordan can't strap up Sunday, you still have a glimmer of hope. You still think, at least I would think, the three of us here, that we still have a chance to win that football game on Sunday. So, yeah, I'm incredibly pleased with this outcome, and as everyone should be right now.
Do you have any sentiment, that you share with my dad in terms of the criticism he's levying towards Jordan Love, or would you say that's too far?
I think it's too far, in the sense that it's so early in his career that I don't want to make that judgment. Like, all right, so the guy had an MCL. I saw his knee pop, Griffey, in Brazil, and I thought I'm driving home thinking I should just veer off the side of the road on 94 and say good night, Irene. Okay, so I saw all that. That was a very scary thing. It was an injury. We can all agree that something bad happened to that knee. Pain tolerance is very individual, in the sense that it could just be, everyone's pain tolerance is much different. I, while he is the $55 million man, Gar, he's also I think he's still young enough, and he'll take the advice of maybe not only the coaching staff, the medical doctors, but maybe even his family and the longevity of his career. Yes, he just got paid, but maybe years down the road, we're thankful that he sat out these last two games, because it could have been much worse. Who's to say? I know an MCL, yes, you can come back even within a week's time, but who's to say actually the severity? And so I'm just thankful that we're likely going to see him back on Sunday, and I'm real excited about that.
Did you have a thought there, Dad?
I do. I don't know whether to be Jekyll or Hyde. Let's go Hyde. So Matt LaFleur is able to put some incredible football on tape. Single wing type runs, option screen passes with a guard pulling one way and going to the back the other way, and linebackers running the wrong way, and guys running for 35-yard touchdowns. Jaden Reed running reverse at that orbit action motion. The line just blocking beautifully. So this is a key going forward to the guys who have to prepare for us. So Matt LaFleur has, in a genius way, put all this on tape and managed to win the game. I just thought it was a totally unnecessary risk to risk losing this game that could have been pivotal. So we dodged that bullet, and it's pretty hard to criticize. I just know if it was me, Schmitty, or Griff, or you, there's no way in the world that I would not have played in that game. You could not have told me, making $55 million, you're not keeping me off that field. And I saw him get off the plane from Brazil after 10 hours carrying his bags, no crutch. I saw him work out 3 days in a row this week. I saw him in the pregame workouts. Brett Favre played with a cast on his right ankle and threw 5 touchdowns against the Bears on a high ankle sprain that he could barely walk on. I want a guy that I can run through the door for. Right now, that guy's Malik Willis. It's not Jordan Love. And I tell you what, Jordan, and I love Jordan Love, and I love LaFleur, and I love Goody, and I love the whole thing. I maybe am just too old school. I maybe am just an old dinosaur that doesn't get it. Maybe this is the way things are now. But Jordan Love, if you do not play well in this game, okay, let's just take it to the end. Jordan Love should not play in this game. He can't play in this game. The Vikings have a double A gap scheme where they're always threatening the blitz. We can't risk that he'd be injured. He's a China doll back there. There's too much risk. I mean, when should put him on ice till the playoffs, for crying out loud? We can't risk this $55 million man. I can't even figure out who I am, Jekyll or Hyde. Get the straight jacket on me. I don't know which way to go, Schmitty. I feel like Schmitty. I need to pierce something. What are we going to do about this? So anyway, all right, come back to reality now. No, I love Jordan Love. He's going to play this week. but he had better darn well play well, because that locker room is 100% behind Malik Willis, and we need to get him back behind Jordan Love. Hopefully next week I'll say this was the silliest rant I ever had. There you go. That's enough for a while.
Well, I think it's totally possible, right? And we were, all of us on this show were some of the earliest guys to be supporters of Jordan Love and excited about the talent he brings to the table, and rightfully so. He sure did a heck of a job of proving us right. But that said, yeah, now that the stakes are a little bit higher when the contract goes up and the expectations rise after the season we saw him put together last year. And when you see Malik do what he does, there's a crack, there's a window there where maybe we are pining to see more of him. Now, do I expect that to happen? No, but that's what you leave the door open for by not playing, right? The best ability is availability, and we look to have Jordan Love back this week. And if he takes one to the Vikings, wow, are we going to have a different tune to say? So we'll keep that in mind. But I think it's an interesting conversation. So thanks for walking us through that, guys. Now, we got a couple awards to give out. I think you hinted at, maybe a few that we might want to throw out there rather. Dad, do you have maybe a negative award other than we talked about Jordan Love, but the old frozen mustache that we talked about? Where would you want to go on that one?
I'll throw out some candidates. Again, the guy who gets that is on the other team. But as far as Packers, you love Tucker Kraft. And the guy's playing with a bad shoulder, guys. He's got a harness on that shoulder. He hasn't been. Talk about a guy. Hey, if I'm hurt and I'm out there hauling my shoulder around, I want my leader to be doing that. So, okay, that's enough of that. I'll get off of that for a while now. But Tucker Kraft in the second half drops a ball that's a sure first down. We have that. And then we love Tucker. He's been blocking great, playing great. You got Tay Wicks down there that looks like a drunken sailor. I'm beginning to wonder, Griff, as I think about that. It was the same side of the field where Romeo Doubs did the Max McGee pirouette, except when Max did it after being out drinking all night before the Super Bowl, he caught a touchdown pass. Romeo went the wrong way and almost fell on his rear end, and the ball lands harmlessly in the end zone. If he'd have turned the right way, it's a touchdown. So
Octavian didn't get his head around ever on his, yeah.
I don't know if the sun was up in their eyes.
It's a thought. It's a possibility.
It almost makes me think so. If that's the case, I'll remove that comment. But those two guys were conspicuous by those errors. And our buddy, Quay Walker, was conspicuous by the lack of being mentioned in a negative way. This is an improvement, Schmitty. We're moving in there, and he did make a tackle on Will Levis on fourth down, so we'll take some of the positives here since I've been frothing at the mouth like a raving lunatic. So I would say those are candidates, but the real frozen stiff mustache is Coach Callahan on 4th and 3 on the first drive of the second half in a 20-7 game. He sent the punting unit out, and then he had a second thought, went for it, and when we stopped him there, the game was kind of over. I don't know why you wouldn't punt deep and make Malik Willis go 90 yards and get the ball back, and you score, and it's 20-14, and you got a ball game. So thank you very much, Coach Callahan. I thought that was the frozen stiff mustache.
Schmitty, you got a frozen mustache to give out?
Sure. If we're nitpicking, I won't talk about the Titans. I'd rather just talk about green and gold here. But my eyes are now always drawn to Quay Walker and Josh Myers. I don't know why. Josh Myers, Griffin, I have it out for the guy. I don't know, like, he's statistically doing really well this year, but I just can't help think like he causes problems for us and penalties. So I'm not going to go with Josh. I think it's Elton. I wasn't pleased with Elton Jenkins' performance. I think he had 2 holding penalties. He might have had one other one. So 2 or 3 fouls on him Sunday. I was not pleased with his performance. Quay made strides to be a better player this last week. The only thing I will call out, not a player, but Halfley, when we get up by 2-3 scores, it just seems like we're going into some shell D that is easily picked apart. And had it not been for that fumble recovery by Lucas Van Ness in the middle of the third quarter, I believe, but we're maybe in a 1-score football game. I get really queasy that we start to play this shell, and maybe it was because we let our foot off the gas because this is the way we needed to win these last 2 weeks, that we just needed to try to play a protect the score kind of thing. but that's now 2 games in a row that we've won, but I've seen the same shell type defense, too high safety, and it hasn't worked well for us. So I don't know if that's just very specific to the score that we're playing to, but I don't want to see that continue.
I want to harken back to a week ago for a little positive recognition for Christian Watson after getting no looks in that previous game in our run-heavy attack. He came out and said, I don't care. I'm going to go do my job, run blocking. He did a heck of a job at that. It was a big part of, some of those down the field runs that we got in the first quarter against the Colts. And then I appreciated him saying, I just care about winning. He comes out, and I wasn't surprised to see us give him a little love, give him a shot down the field, and he went up and made a heck of a play. Look to see more of that. I bring him up for another reason, though, guys. I want to get your thoughts. I just got a live fantasy trade from a loyal viewer of the pod, Jim Dillenberg. He's offering me Cortland Sutton for Christian Watson. Now, I love the mentality. I love what Christian said about run blocking, but that doesn't score you fantasy points. Schmitty, do you have a take on whether or not I should take this trade?
Ooh, that's a spicy little trade, especially with how many receivers that the Packers have and how few that the Broncos have. I think maybe you go Sutton there solely for the fantasy value. But Griffey, we're a green and gold podcast, dude. You can't that you hit the deny right now, and maybe you send him a flaming dog of crap on his porch tomorrow morning. Don't accept that trade. We're all green and gold here. That's Christian Watson. You keep that, man.
Well, I'm going to have to think. I got to do a little rubbing of the temples here. I'm going to feel real dumb when Christian Watson has about 150 and 3 touchdowns this coming week. We haven't seen him connect with Jordan Love yet and see what that's going to look like. I think we have so many targets. We have kind of an embarrassment of riches. And now with the run game we have going, I think the Broncos got to funnel it towards Cortland. But I offered him the same trade earlier today, and he turned it down. So he talked about Jekyll and Hyde, but the two of us are doing, and he offered it to me earlier in the year, and I turned it down. So we're doing a weird dance with Cortland Sutton and Christian Watson here, but we're having a good time that way. Another bit of a fantasy decision that I had to make with this year was Jaden Daniels. I felt pretty happy about pulling the trigger there, and I said on the pod, one of my bold predictions was Jaden Daniels is really going to make the Bears rethink the way that they evaluate the quarterback position. First criteria moving forward be if the guy paints his nails, we're not going to draft him. And Caleb Williams struggled again this week through 2 picks. Another loss. Schmitty, what's your feeling and sentiment towards where the Bears are at this point in the year?
Griffey, they're just not a good franchise, man. It's kind of sad. Count your blessings that you were born in the great state of Wisconsin. Okay, I was born in Illinois. I had to make a choice. It was the red pill or the blue pill. Thank God, my dad he talked some sense into me as a lifelong Packers fan. Griffey, I had the choice to make. Thank God he kept me loyal to the green and gold. It doesn't look good down there, does it? He has arm talent. It's undeniable. He does. But that franchise, much like the New York Jets as of late, the Cleveland Browns, there are franchises you just want nothing to do with. You don't even want to bring in these star quarterbacks. Like, I don't even think what the kid's name, Bryce Young from the Panthers, I don't think he's all that bad, Griffey. You are just surrounded by a terrible team. Now,
Andy Dalton get it done so quick.
Okay, Griffey, maybe that's not the case for our friend Bryce Young, but I'm a very big proponent of thinking that you really get out of players what it is that your community, your franchise, the people in the building that don't even strap it up to play football, they all matter. And I think that the Bears system is quite flawed, and you got a lot of people that don't play actual football on a field that are messing it up for the kids. So he's threw for over 300 yards, I believe, Griffey, and had a couple of touchdowns. He doesn't look awful.
He had about 87 pass attempts, but
sure. But it's there nonetheless. You gotta grow between the ears, and if you do that, I think he'll be okay. But your Jaden Daniels pick right now seems like the better call. You're supposed to beat 0-3 teams or really bad teams. Maybe the Bengals are just not that good of a team. Just like us beating the Tennessee Titans, I think that was a game that, regardless who you had at quarterback, you just had to win because come the season's end, I think the Bengals and the Titans are vying for that bottom quadrant of football teams in the league.
Well, Schmidt, I think you brought up a crucial point there with the environment in which the quarterback finds themselves, and we saw, of course, an awesome example of that with Malik Willis and in the juxtaposition between his time with Tennessee and what we've seen already with 2 weeks in Green Bay. So I think you hit the nail right on the head there. Another guy who we're seeing in a new environment, Sam Darnold. Dad, you had some strong thoughts on Sam Darnold versus Nick Mullins even was a conversation point that we had at the start of the year. Of course, we faced the Vikings across the river border battle this week. What do you have to say about Sam Darnold's performance to this point in the year?
I'd rather talk about the Packers' offensive line, if I could. And we've been calling out Josh.
You're going off script. You're screwing up the outline. We had a play drawn up at the line of scrimmage, and now you're kind of pulling a Brett Favre, drawing a new one in the dirt, and that was effective for Brett. So I guess we'll let you call the audible here. But I'm leaving the nice video up for our viewers.
I'm going to circle back if you let me.
No, you're fine. I just got to give you a hard time.
Anyway, this is the common denominator, or the differential between Caleb Williams playing well for the Bears and Malik Willis playing well for the Packers. Caleb Williams has no offensive line over there. So you got to give Goody a lot of credit for developing our offensive line and an outfit that can run for 200 yards 2 weeks ago and 150 yards, whatever it was this week, and give Malik Willis a chance to function back there with that kind of a running game. And we got a tremendous offensive line and defensive line. Schmidt has pointed out the waves of pass rushers that we can get in there. So circling back to Sam Darnold, yes, I think he deserves a little apology at the moment. He certainly, I thought this was a bellwether game. Did he just get a little lucky in the first two games? And no, they take it right to Houston. But I tell you what, this game this weekend is not just a NFC North division smackdown here. This is a NFC preeminent game for supremacy in the entire National Football League conference, maybe the entire league. But you got two teams that are serious business here at the first quarter turn in the season. So it's going to be a very interesting game. Do the Packers waves of rushers put pressure on Sam Darnold, make him turn the ball over, as is becoming our identity? Schmitty, I told you this at the beginning of the year. We were going to get short fields with lots of turnovers. I said this week that Will Levis was going to spend a lot of time with his back on the ground. I think both of those were pretty prescient calls. And we'll just see if they can do the same thing to Sam Darnold, because nobody else has been able to do it. And the other thing is, if we're able to run the ball on the Vikings, that double A gap blitz and all that nonsense they do, they're going to have to get out of it mighty fast, because if we're able to gash them with the run, that'll be a big key to the game too. So give Sam Darnold his flowers to this point in the season, and we got a very interesting matchup to look forward to this weekend.
I want to get into Schmidt's thoughts on the matchup here. We did talk a little bit about the quarterback situation here. Do you think there's any room that we might want to sneak in a Malik Willis package, considering maybe Love's limited in his mobility? Is that another factor we might bring to the game? And what are your overall thoughts on the keys to the matchup here?
Griffey, it'd be neat to bring in, if I could see a Randall Cobb in the backfield-esque package. Maybe you got J Love and Malik out there at the same time, something really nifty. I just don't think that's a viable outcome, or are you going to see that early in the game? Maybe you see that in the third quarter, you start throwing the kitchen sink because you're down in a bad way. I don't want to see Malik Willis out there, Griffey. If I know Jordan Love is active, healthy, and playing, Malik Willis looks really good on the sideline after winning 2 games, drawing a lot of eyes from other teams that we could potentially ship him out of town for good value, knowing that we only paid a 7th-round pick for him. So I like keeping the prestige of him on the sideline, okay? The big matchup for me, I was down in him. That was one of my early proclamations of the season was that Jair was going to fall off. The guy hasn't fallen off, Griffey. He really is still a premier corner in this league. So the JJ versus JA matchup, let Jair. I mean, I think Eric Stokes is playing well enough where you don't have to have Jair follow JJ around the field and you just play base, especially knowing how good that Xavier McKinney's playing, and he just really protects that back end for the defense. I'm undecided. I think I'd like to see some more matchups this week between Jair and JJ, but I'm fine with either there. It's really the turnover battle again, Griffey. You got the Vikings, who have the most sacks in the league. I think they're averaging over 5 now. We had 8 last week. We lead the league in turnover margin, I believe. That's really, for me, we're winning these turnover margins in such a handed way. It's helped in the last 2 weeks with and now with the Eagles. So I'm really hoping that it's our benefit again. We just can't stall. If I see us winning the turnover race battle early, like we did against the Eagles, and we're not converting and not putting 6 on the board at a time, that's going to be a real issue. We're going to get sour real quick. Griffey, we're 2.5-point favorites. I didn't believe that to be the case. It's really telling what Vegas thinks who's going to be the starting quarterback on Sunday. I fully expect Jordan Love to be back. Gar said it earlier. We all saw it. I mean, he was fully mobile in the pre-game on Sunday, so he'll be back. Can he shake the rust off really quick against the defense that has looked really, really good? I've been down on the Vikings defense. I thought they would be the reason why they'd hold this team back, because their offense has so many weapons. That defense is probably better than the offense head and shoulders right now. So turnover battle and some individual matchups on the outside. What I love most about our team is that I think we have the best wide receiver complement in the league. I don't know if I want to say it's a chameleon because it's ever changing, but you have a lot of players, a lot of pass catchers that do a lot of very different things. They all know how to block, though. That I think even if it's Malik for some reason on Sunday, that we're throwing the ball around a lot, even more than we did this past Sunday. So,
what's your prediction for the game?
I like our chances, Griffey. The Packers, I did you a favor. I ran it on Madden, and I believe it, Griffey. The Packers will roll 31-10 on Sunday. Give it to me.
You're calling hot routes here too. I was talking with Schmitty before the show here, and he said I'm gonna have to do it. I got to pick the Vikings, and now I'm glad you did. Green and gold across the board. Maybe we'll see. Dad, what are your thoughts on the matchup here?
Well, I think in our first podcast of the year, you said it would be 1 week before Schmitty was recanting his prediction on the Bears being 13-3. Or 4, whatever it was. I think it wasn't 1 week, but we're, what are we, 4 weeks, 3 weeks in here, and Schmitty's all green and gold again. There's no black and orange, and so I think your prediction has now come to fruition. I think we can count that one. It took 3 weeks instead of 1, but I think he's completely off the Bears. Good to have you back aboard, Schmitty, this year before the end of September. Griff pretty much had it. Nervy, you're making me nervy.
Dog.
We got to make 40 some yard field goals when it's time to win the game, and if he does that, it's going to be the Packers. I'm going to say he's going to do that. We Tay Wicks and Tucker Kraft, when we have a catch to make for a critical 3rd down, and I'm not talking about anything special. Take a look at Xavier McKinney. When they throw you the ball, catch it. And Xavier has been doing that, and he is a defensive player. So, and I love Tucker Kraft, and I love Tay Wicks, and I'm not talking about any one person in particular, but gentlemen, and then the penalties, the holding penalties, for the love of Pete, Rasheed Walker, and our boy Elton John, Elton Jenkins, what I like to call him, Elton John. Both great players, and I think they've been picked on a little bit, but still we can't get 5 and 6 and 7 holding calls. So minimize the holding calls. Our kicker has to be key, and we as an entire team, when the ball's there, we got to catch it, And then we win this game 27-23 because Narvi puts us ahead with a comfortable lead. But if Narvi doesn't, I'm going to say, Narvi, you're going to do it. So let's go green and gold.
Well, I can't screw it up. I got to tell you, I'm a little nervous. Some part of me wants to pick the Vikings, but I'm a homer. I can't do it. We're going with a clean sweep. Although I didn't want to pick the Packers last week with Malik Willis, and I did it anyways, and they got it done. So maybe that's the sort of belief we need, and that's what I'm giving you this week. I don't have any rhyme or reason why. The Vikings make me nervous. Sam Darnold's been on a heater, but the autumn wind is a Packer. We get it done, boys. We get it done. Now, we're seeing my dad's internet limp along here a little bit. I'm thinking if we can get up to 1,000 subscribers this year, me and Schmitty will go get Starlink installed over there at the Christensen residence. So a little challenge. If you're a viewer and made it this along in the show, you got to get subscribed here, and we'll get that internet figured out. I think the audio cooperated with us, so good job all around that way. Boys, I want to give you a chance to leave our viewers with any closing thoughts here. Schmitty, what do you have for the folks?
Griffey, this is a marquee matchup. This is going to determine a pathway to potentially the number one seed in the NFC. Okay, this is a game the Green Bay faithful needs to get up for. You start early in the morning. It's 6 a.m., Griffey. Skip the eggs, skip all the avocados, the nonsense. Get some brats going. Get an Oktoberfest beer in your hands. Let's really get this game day rolling, okay? Feel good about yourself. Get your favorite jersey on. It's go time, baby. It's the autumn wind is a Packer, Griffey. I see the leaves turning. It's a really exciting time to be a Green Bay Packers football fan, and I'm really looking forward to it. I hope you are too. Packers are going to roll. I know it.
I'm ready to run through the tunnel for you, Schmitty. Dad, you want to take us home here? What do you have?
Well, we have a little history to draw back on here to look at what this is going to look like. You know that the defensive coordinator over there in Minnesota is going to come with those A-gap exotic looks where he threatens the blitz and then drops back. And Jordan Love has handled that pretty well. He struggled with that in his very first start against Kansas City way back when. And what did he do last year when he saw Kansas City again? Took care of business against those exotic looks by Steve Spagnuolo. And he did it again against the Vikings at the end of last year when the Packers kicked them in the rear end 33-10 or whatever it was last year. God, they did us the favor of starting a rookie quarterback from BYU. So that'll be different with the good quarterback they got going, number 14 over there. But Griff, I do not rule out for special situations, third down, maybe a fourth down play, Malik Willis trotting on the field to give us the benefit of his legs, to have a two-way go. And the thing with him, as opposed to Taysom Hill, he's got a rocket arm. He can go all the way downfield if need be. So good luck, Vikings, if you want to just load up on the run. I think that's a very compelling strategic thing that you may see MLF use there, that we've got this kid that the team loves, that has come through in big spots, that has earned the trust of the coaching staff. Not a single turnover in those two games. Got to be kidding me. And so while Jordan Love's knee's a little gimpy, I think that could be a key in this game also. So there's a couple things to look for.
Awesome. Well, great to be here with you guys. I look forward to doing it next week after another one in the win column. For the good guys here, signing off. Everyone have a good night. Take care.
Love you all.
See you next week.